Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy. I already have the first card out. It's the Tower, which is telling me that you're going through a major perspective shift. This event feels very internal. It feels like you hadn't timed this, but that you needed it. What I mean by that is you felt stuck, okay? There are circumstances that have had your mind looping, sort of rotating in a cycle, waiting for a solution. And in the process, you asked for a solution and received the solution through the realization that it's how you've been looking at things and treating things that has had you feeling stuck. In the area of what's crossing you, I have the Hanged Man and the Seven of Cups. What this is telling me is that this perspective shift is taking place. You're receiving clarity, okay? You're receiving the solution, but because you've been stuck in this space for a prolonged period, you may not be able to discern very clearly what your solution is, like what your instruction is, okay, what you need to do, okay? In your recent past, I've got the Four of Cups, okay? And as I was shuffling for this card, the sense that I got was you almost have got yourself on this matter in particular. You found yourself feeling so stuck that you're actually, you've forgotten what it's like to move. Okay. I'm finding you stifled. You've forgotten what it feels like to just get moving again. Okay. And with this Four of Cups in your recent past, this is telling me that now it's sort of muddied your perspective so much that even when you're presented with something that is appealing, something that you would normally actually want, something that falls under, things that you love, you're unable to feel it, see it, recognize it. Okay. So this is quite the idea of being stuck in the mud is what I'm sensing here. And I'm not being overly negative about where you are actually, because where we are right now is to help you come back to the surface, help you to discern what it is you want, what it is that's going on. Okay. One of the things I'm noticing out of this tower is how these people are falling out of the tower. So the tower starts burning and these people are falling out. What this is telling me is, there are a few things, okay, that don't matter that, are gonna have to fall away. You no longer over considering people, places and things that are of no consequence to you. Okay. So what this means is perhaps you've over prioritized, things that do not matter. When I say things that do not matter, I mean things that do not change the price of bread for you. Okay. That's what I mean. I don't mean that you don't care about them. I just mean that they are filling the space. Okay. They are filling the space of the things that you need to consider as you discern what is going to help you. Okay. What is going to make a difference in your life. Okay. To get you unstuck. And so when I say something doesn't matter, I mean, there are things filling the space, filling the room, filling your thoughts that do not have a positive influence in the areas that you have a problem with. Okay, does that make sense? It's interesting. I'm looking at this Four of Cups and what I'm seeing is the Three of Cups that's standing. So these three cups are representing a sense of community. They're also representing for me a sense of other people. Okay. Not you, other people. Okay. Yes, there is this sense of community in that, we have the compassion, we have that sense of connection and community, but these are the ones that are standing and you're facing them. But then when an opportunity comes, this one ace of cups that comes in the hand with the cloud, when this opportunity for something that you will like, that will appeal to you, is presented to you, you are kind of like meh about it. And you've been sitting here for some time. And so we're needing to bring some clarity here so that you can get unstuck here. Okay, so I have actually written something down here, which is going to help with clarity. It says, you've been creating your own delays by holding more space for others than you hold for yourself. This keeps you in a loop mentally and emotionally of feeling disempowered. And so what's happening here is that you're holding more space than you have created containment for. This is this idea of masculine and feminine and balancing these things. And so I'm seeing all the love and the care and the nurture within the feminine that is overflowing. But then I'm seeing this idea of the King of Cups that is here to contain what is being shared by the feminine. Okay, this sense of safety and containment. Your masculine has not, needs to sort of close ranks. You need to start limiting the spaces that you're creating to make sure that you're not depleting yourself and the ability to create space and containment through sharing all of this nurturing and love and care, okay, outside of the container. So what that means is that, okay, you create this container and you can share as much as you want to share within that container. However, outside of the limits and boundaries of this container, when you share in those spaces, you need to recognize that the space outside of the container is no longer contained. And so then now it creates leakage. It creates a sense of drainage. Okay? A draining. And so whatever happens outside of there is lost, not accounted for. Okay? And it's not contained. And so if you can see it like that, it is not a pulling back. It is not a holding back. It is not an idea of not sharing. That's not the point. The point is to be very mindful of actually you are spilling all of your love into areas that are not contained. And it's your responsibility to contain a sense of care for yourself by limiting the love that you share and the care that you share, which is unlimited, but limiting it within containers. What does this mean? It means stop holding space outside of the container. That's what it means. Does it mean, the idea of a container, what is this? The idea of a container is not necessarily something that has rules, for example. In this case that we're talking about, the only rule is that it must all happen inside the container. That means do not be applying yourself so much to matters that are outside of the container. Okay, there are no other rules. There are no other rules. If you need to listen to that again to understand what I'm saying, please do. I don't want to repeat it in different words and now shift the explanation and the understanding and the clarity, because whatever your context is, you're going to need to apply that. But this is essentially the idea of avoiding overgiving in areas you don't have protection in. Okay, you're not covered in those areas. And so be careful, because then how you behave outside of the container then affects the time you spend within the container. Okay? Reduces the level of care that's even able to be provided within the container. In your near future, I have the Magician. Immediately when I saw this, and especially coming from the Tower, I'm seeing that, and I've got the Fool underneath the deck, okay? What I'm seeing here is that you have been manifesting some of this confusion for yourself. And so you've been in this cycle of feeling this lackluster. That's what I'm getting. That's the word I get. Lackluster. When I look up the meaning of this word, it says lacking in vitality, force, or conviction, uninspired or uninspiring. Okay. And that's essentially it. This is to say that all of the love and care that you have been sharing outside of your container is starting to create a lack of inspiration within the container. And so this is why containment is so important and a healthy balance is important. So what's happening is that now a lot of your mental activity, emotional activity, okay, a lot of that is taking place outside of containment and it is creating for you. Okay, so you're holding space for a situation or people. Okay, I'm hearing some problem solving taking place. And so you're holding this space, but it's circling because it's not contained. And it's essentially repeating and creating its own momentum outside of containment. And this is like, this mental and emotional is actually how we manifest. Okay, what the activity that's taking place mentally and emotionally is how we're manifesting. And so when you're outside of your container, problem solving, that is what you're manifesting. And so you've got yourself stuck in that sense. However, what I'm seeing here is a shift towards manifesting the Magician from a place of clarity with his hand up like this, holding up his wand. I'm seeing a place of clearer vision and empowerment. Okay, he's got all of his aces are with him. All of the aces representing this idea of ace is an opportunity that is, it's what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say like self-centric. Okay, so it's centered around self. So these are your opportunities. You are the priority in these areas. And you're manifesting from those and creating a momentum around those rather than manifesting outside of your container and out of things that are considered problems and out of things that are outside of yourself, outside of your control. Okay? They are not opportunities for you in that sense. In that sense, there are problems that are unaccounted for. And so that's not where you should be spending your time. These things are invited into your containers to be solved for, but they are not to be manifested out of. They're telling me that you're going to be able to do as much as you want now. There was this feeling of limits that you were experiencing limits that do not actually exist, limits that are perceived due to the circumstances you've placed yourself in. And so now you're actually going to be able to get more out of your containers because of containment. Okay. It's almost like everything back in its place. So it's not actually about giving less, loving less, sharing less. It's about making sure that when you are loving, giving, and sharing, you are doing it in a container. Nowhere else. Okay? Nowhere else. This actually feels like a simple matter of not so much closing ranks, but healthy boundaries. What happens when you feel like you've got so much to share? Sometimes when you haven't come across this kind of issue where you need to look at how you're sharing, you think you have so much to share, and you do. But then you become a bit laxy-daisy about how you share. You just start sharing it everywhere. You know, this could be love. This could actually be your resources. We're talking about resources. And so sometimes you look at yourself and you think, I have so much to share. I'm so resourced. Let me share it. And then you're not sharing mindfully, and it starts to affect you. It starts to affect you and what you're sharing and how you're sharing it. So this is about healthy boundaries. This is not about sharing less. This is not about giving less. It's about sharing your resources mindfully so that they can replenish and not be depleted. At the top of mind, I have 8 of Wands. You know, as this is coming in this way, the visions, the wands are coming in this way. This is incoming communication. This is movement. And with these leaves on these wands, what it's sort of sharing with me is that you're going to be able to notice what grows from this now going forward. So you're going to feel the movement, and you're actually going to be able to see the results. And I'm clarified by the Knight of Swords here, which is telling me that you're actually going to be looking at this, seeing it more honestly than you've been able to see it before, with more truth. Okay, so you've noticed that you have this sense of momentum, but you have not been able to observe like what meaningful growth is coming out of this because of all of this clutter. In terms of what this is saying about where you are now, it's telling me that, you know, this is what's actually caused the tower. You have really wanted to look at things. It's like you woke up one morning really wanting to just look at things honestly, like, okay, give me the truth, Spirit. Give it to me straight. What is going wrong here? What am I not doing right here? What am I seeing incorrectly here? And you were then taken down this sort of path of not necessarily problem solving for, you know, your problems, but rather, what do you want? What is it that you want? And through asking yourself what it is that you want, a lot of the ways that you've been holding yourself back have started to surface. And so it's been through this filtering and clearing that you've been able to see, wait, I could just focus on the things that I do want. And I believe that that's the clarity that I needed to share so far, is around the fact that you actually have access to everything you want. It's how you're managing it that is creating challenges for you. In your subconscious, I have the 8 of Cups. And so now that's 2 8s. And, you know, he's walking away in a new direction, guided by a new vision, walking away from a certain way of loving, okay, towards a different one. With the moon there, that just shows that this is an unknown way of loving. It's new. You don't know what it's going to bring, but you know that it's better than how you've been loving so far. And that's why you're walking away from it. You've known that whatever it is you're doing, even though you lack full understanding or have lacked full understanding on why things feel the way they do, you definitely have an understanding that you're better off trying something different than continuing the way you've been. And that's actually, it's this openness to a different way and the truth about like what it is that's been going wrong that's allowing you to even receive these solutions. I've laid out the rest of the cards. In your advice, I have the Ace of Cups, and it's clarified by the 9 of Cups. Together, these make up 10 of Cups, but this is really to, they're almost saying like receive, accept, bite off every opportunity that you're offered to, of love, right? Of love and care. Receive the peace that each moment of these offers has for you. What I'm saying is, one by one, accept these offers of love that you're able to receive and share. Okay. The 9 of Cups is giving me that sense of making decisions sort of for your independent reasons. Okay. So they're saying with each opportunity that you grasp, you're going to have a sense of self-fulfillment that each of these offers you. So it's very much about staying in the moment and receiving each opportunity as it arises, okay? Rather than always considering other people, not yourself, and then you end up with 4 of Cups. You see, this Ace of Cups is the same Ace of Cups that you see in the advice. The difference is that the cups that are standing on the 4 of Cups give a very other people type of feeling, whereas the 9 of Cups is very much a me feeling. Okay, and you get more out of that. So this is just managing your resources more mindfully, okay? And in your surrounding factors, I have the moon, okay? In the area of what you want the most and fear the most, I've got the 8 of Swords. And then your outcome, I've got the 4 of Swords. What this is all telling me is that, you know, the fact that you can't see what's going on in the future and around you is actually an opportunity. Okay, it's not something that is that hinders your progress or whatever. It's an opportunity because it is what allows you to accept each cup as it arises and to be in the moment. So now you're manifesting out of each cup rather than out of this 4 of Cups idea. I'm also seeing this strong sense of the Tower playing out in this entire spread. What I mean by that is that I'm seeing a lot of conversion of ideas that were one way but actually are another way. I'm seeing that through, if you look at the 4 of Cups, okay, and then I've got the 4 of Swords. So this is moving from a sense of disappointment that's now being converted into a sense of not having to fight, okay, and letting things be, okay, knowing that the opportunities will arise as they need to arise. I'm also seeing this 8 of Wands and the 8 of Cups and the 8 of Swords. So this is a lot of 8s, and what's missing here? That'd be the 8 of Pentacles, which is working so hard. The 8 of Pentacles is a card, I'll show it on the screen, but it's a card of working quite hard. It has a manifestation sort of sense to it. But given that it's pentacles, it's almost like the process of converting dreams into reality. Okay. But it's got that sense of dedication that's, that it's associated with. And so here I'm seeing that you're not going to need to work so hard, to manifest, because you're going to be taking each opportunity as it comes, and you're going to be able to see it for what it is. And you're going to be able to share and pour yourself into it in a contained manner. And so yes, you're still problem solving. This is 8 of Swords. It's very much a problem solver, but you're not getting stuck. And so you no longer have to worry about getting stuck in between the containers, because I see that. In between the space you're holding, you tend to get stuck in thoughts and feelings. And so you're actually being released of that. You're being released from that. That's the 4 of Swords. You're released. And so manifesting is going to be much easier for you now. Much smoother. It's going to feel much more free. You're going to feel less of a need to know the outcome of things, because you're just going to be absorbed in each moment. And outside of that, you're not going to be holding responsibility. The only responsibility that you'll have is within your container. And so you're not responsible outside of the container. If you think about this, this is like how we live life. We work during the day and we sleep at night. If we were to spend our nights when we're meant to be sleeping, thinking and worrying about what's happened during the work day in spaces where there's nothing we can do about it, right? So you can't wake up in the middle of the night, start sending emails. That's not very helpful. No one's going to respond because everyone else is trying to sleep as well. So not much can be done because the container is that 8 to 5. That's the container. And so if you are applying yourself outside of that 8 to 5 and all your hours in between when you're meant to be replenishing and looking after yourself and staying present in your life, you're going to be less useful and less able to solve the problems that you solve during your 8 to 5. I think that's the best way to actually explain this. This Tower came into your life to help you to manifest with much more ease. Okay. This is not clarity that you could have received, had you not got stuck in this way. Okay. Because otherwise it would have been seen as a sense of limiting yourself. Whereas this is not limiting yourself. This is creating a sense of limitlessness within yourself through containment, through being more mindful, more careful of how you love, not how much you love. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. I hope that you found this reading helpful, supportive, clarifying. I've left details on anything you might need in the description box below. Please continue with your comments. I love them so much. I read each and every one of them. They also help me understand, where you're at. They help me understand, depending on what is shared, they help me touch on gaps that you're experiencing. Okay. Even where I don't respond, I promise you, I read every single one. I even read the replies in between. Sending you all so much love.